Hello, folks. We'll start here in just a minute. Folks, we're just waiting for a few more people. We had over 100 register, so we'll start here in just a minute. Welcome to today's webinar. The general audience will be muted throughout the presentation, but we encourage you to ask questions, and you'll see an icon on your control bar. Float your cursor mouse over the icon and it will light up questions. Type your question and we will answer as many as we can throughout or at the end of the presentation. There are literally thousands of webinars, GoToMeetings, Zooms, and the like being broadcast today, so there may be some transmission difficulties experienced by you during the presentation. The presentation is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be emailed to all registrants later. Hillary?
Good afternoon, everybody here on the call today. I'd like to start by welcoming all of you to today's webinar hosted by VIA in partnership with One True North. I am Hillary Broadwater, owner of QM Design Group and the 2020 chairwoman for VIA. I hope that everyone here is doing well, and I hope that you, your families, and your employees are staying safe and in good health. As business owners, we're faced with uncertain times, and there are many things we need to address in our businesses as things have changed. You might also be asking yourself, how do I market my business during this time, and should I be marketing my business? The answer is absolutely yes. I'd like to start by reminding everyone that we'd like to offer all VIA members the opportunity to access our communication network. If you have a marketing piece or any special offers that you'd like to send us, let us know. We'll happily add you to our bi-weekly newsletters. Keeping your name out there and well marketed during this crisis is a good plan of action. Let VIA help you do that. Our program today, How SCV Business Owners Can Lead, Think, Plan, and Act Through COVID-19, will be presented by Paul and Lisa Raggio with One True North. Paul and Lisa are brother and sister duo who have the business acumen and tools needed to help business owners optimize their time, build better teams, and increase their bottom line. Paul is a retired U.S. Army colonel and former CEO and business unit president for a billion-dollar Alaska Native corporation, 8 limited liability law enforcement and security companies with 2,000 employees operating in 41 states, and 2 countries were under his leadership. Paul served in the U.S. Army for 26 years and is a veteran of both Operations Just Cause and Desert Shield and Storm campaigns. Lisa has a diverse background in consulting and nonprofit executive management for local and national nonprofits. Prior to working with nonprofits, she worked in strategic planning and total quality management initiatives at Nestle USA and Disney. Lisa was awarded with the Business Life Women's Achiever Award in 2017 for her business commitment and volunteer service to the community. Lisa was also privileged to be a VIP guest of the White House and former First Lady Obama for a Champions of Change event. I hope that you all enjoy today's program, and I pass it on to Paul and Lisa.
Welcome and thanks to the VIA. Hillary and Kathy's instincts to adapt, improvise, and overcome is demonstrated in this webinar and the ones to come. We will be delivering an inspirational, best business practices, action-oriented message in this webinar. We won't be covering the labor law or the details of the legislation that has been passed and is under consideration in Congress. Several other webinars have been and will continue to be offered that you should attend. Our focus will be on what you should be doing as a business owner to survive and then thrive as a result of this pandemic.
Thank you, Hillary, Kathy, and VIA members. We're grateful for the opportunity to present this webinar today. One True North Leadership and Business Coaching Solutions is a veteran-owned and family-operated business in Santa Clarita. In short, our vision is to empower business owners and organizational leaders to find and live their one true north. Our intention for this webinar is to help anyone on this call find their way through this current pandemic crisis and economic threat, and have substantive action items you can start today that will help you, your business, and your teams. In the event any of you get cut off on the call, we'd like for you to make note of our contact information presented here. Please text or call us after the webinar.
We're leadership and certified business coaches and have a genuine passion to mentor. Our personal and professional history is rich and deep. I served in the Army for 26 years and deployed on several combat and disaster relief operations, retired and then led as a CEO and a business unit president, several companies that protected our nation's critical infrastructure. I have a lot of experience in leadership, crisis management, strategic and business planning, and have a passion for mentoring. I believe in coaching, meaning being coached to be better myself, and then to own my own performance, and then coaching others to better their performance.
We, like you, are small business owners navigating our way through COVID-19. And in addition to One True North, my husband and I have owned another business in Santa Clarita for the last 2 decades. Paul has his master's in business administration with an emphasis in finance, and I have a master's in public administration with an emphasis in the human dynamics of leadership. We are certified business action coaches, the largest global business coaching company in the world. And I also wear the hat of executive director of the Firefighter Cancer Support Network, a national nonprofit that I've worked with the military and first responders for the last decade. This, combined with Paul's military service, has heavily influenced us to rely on our training at this time in crisis management and being prepared as a first responder, but with a focus on small to medium-sized business owners. Lastly, we are dedicated to the philosophy of servant leadership, and like many of you on the call, are community focused and believe in the spirit of volunteerism.
Hope is not a method. General Gordon Sullivan, the 32nd Chief of Staff of the Army, coined this phrase, and I wrote an opinion piece in last week's Santa Clarita Gazette titled the same. General Sullivan's point was we live in a VUCA environment, one that's volatile, uncertain, complex, and asymmetrical. And the way to navigate through it is to plan, not use hope as a method. Today, we must add the volume and velocity of information to the VUCA equation. And then also in today's Gazette is our latest opinion piece titled, "The Cream Always Rises to the Top." And that's a metaphor for many of you who are stepping up and leading through this uncertainty. And thank you, Doug Sutton, owner of the Gazette, for giving us this platform to be able to write these concepts.
Turning panic into a plan, that starts with our mindset. It's time to enhance or adopt a growth over scarcity mindset. We are swimming in a sea of scarcity mentality. The reason why you can't find toilet paper or water is because of a scarcity mindset. And it is a demonstration of what fear and anxiety looks like in uncertainty. Your job as a business owner is to stay above the chaos and lean into a calm approach. Think in terms of it's okay to feel the fear, but shift gears into a growth mindset and focus on developing answers to questions such as, what will be needed of your team? What will your community need? How will we have the most impact once we are on the other side?
You know, in every environment I experienced in a crisis, whether I was deployed in combat or hurricane relief operations, barricaded hostage negotiations at Fort Bragg, or responding to an incident at one of my critical infrastructure project sites, I always coach my subordinate leaders that to survive and thrive, you have to adapt to the changing environment, improvise your plan, and overcome the endless obstacles in front of you. The COVID-19 environment is no different. You've got to adapt to it, improvise your Q2 and Q3 plans, and overcome the endless obstacles that are staring you down. Then prepare for the rebound in Q4 in 2021.
Whether you were ready for it or not, as a business owner, people are relying on your leadership right now. So embrace it swiftly and lead with confidence and congruency. That means your words match your actions, which includes body language and facial expressions. Be mindful, your intent and messaging will be lost if it doesn't match your approach and presentation. This means developing muscle in being self-aware. Keep in mind, people listen more with their eyes than with their ears.
There are many things you can be doing today to survive and then thrive once we rebound. Demonstrate control by being decisive in your actions. Let's face it, the world has changed. I mean, COVID-19 has had a worldwide impact on us. No one is exempt, and businesses have changed forever. We've got to change our way of thinking, move out, and find and create new opportunities to thrive. The world operates in cycles and patterns. Just as we pass through seasons, COVID-19 will pass too. Day by day, we are understanding the virus and its effects on society more and more. And our nation, the greatest nation, has the most brilliant people in the world working on a vaccine. It will happen, and this virus will soon be in the rearview mirror, although its emotional effects will be generational. Lisa and I watched a webcast on Wednesday hosted by the Santa Clarita Valley Economic Development Corporation. A legend and economist, Dr. Mark Schneip, principal at California Economic Forecasted, presented a worst case and best case economic scenario, starting with our country, then California, and it ended on Santa Clarita. We urge you to watch this video. It's exceptional. The strongest message he conveyed is, we will rebound, and our message to you is to plan for it now. Our federal, state, and local governments are all acting, and you will have several opportunities to take advantage of the relief operations they have passed. In the stock market, it's going to recover. The elections will occur, and we will once again have adapted, improvised, and overcome a pandemic never experienced before on this scale. And that's a testimony to our American resilience. Just as important, your business has and will continue to change. It's up to you to change it for the better. These are the cycles every business deals with through its life. You get through them by leading, thinking, planning, and acting.
A crisis like COVID-19 is a time when you can show up as a leader and demonstrate your company's values by what and how you communicate. Companies that handle crisis communications well are proactive in their messaging and connect regularly with their internal and external audiences. Better to err on the side of over-communicating than not. Design a positive message and communicate it to all of your team, which includes staff, customers, clients, suppliers, stakeholders, networks, strategic alliances, partnerships. This is not a time to be silent or to let your message be created by default. A great example of this are the emails that Milady Direct Marketing has been sending out, clearly messaging positivity, an authentic desire to help, and inspiring readers in a genuine way. If your business has a vision, mission, or purpose statements, now is the time to message that out when you communicate on your emails, social media, direct mailers, newsletters. If your business hasn't developed these things, create a tagline that you can use in your messaging and signature block that lets your internal and external audiences know you are sensitive and empathetic to what is happening and you are here to help. As a leader, communicate your passion and enthusiasm as often as you can. This is an opportunity to envision a shared humanity and message how your company is having an impact in the shared humanity and in the COVID context. When communicating, think and speak in terms of half with the head, pragmatically concentrating on what your business needs to do to survive, and half with the heart, messaging a commitment to thrive after the rebound. Communication is not just words, it's through actions. Like many other crises in the past, COVID-19 has the potential to unite more of us around common causes. It all depends on how we respond. We can look to our faith-based organizations or our nonprofits to see what they need. We can unite and encourage our teams and audiences to get engaged and make a difference to those hardest hit. Think in terms of collective impact. Remember, we are all in this together, one team, one fight, one mission to survive COVID-19, physically and economically. And be clear, direct, and purposeful. Always start with why before you communicate. Take the time to first examine your intentions and get clear on your why regarding what you want to say, and then add a dose of positivity so it can inspire and communicate solutions, not just issues.
When you're looking for opportunities and you understand the cycles and patterns as previously mentioned, your next step is to overcome your natural resistance to change. Brad Sugars, founder of Action Coach, a global business coaching firm, uses this equation to illustrate how business owners invoke change. D stands for dissatisfaction, multiplied by V for vision, and that product is added to F, your first steps, which must be greater than your R, resistance to change. Clearly, right now, most of us are very dissatisfied. Some of us have a vision, but few of us know what the first steps to take are in order to change the way we do business. But if you believe business has changed forever because of COVID-19, then we must work on the vision and first steps now. In changing your business, it doesn't mean taking one massive step. More than likely, it means you need to take small pivots, maybe a few or up to 100. For example, this webinar is a pivot in the way Lisa and I do business, and it will be a new way of delivering our offerings in the future. Something else to consider, many businesses are thriving right now. The most obvious are Amazon, Walmart, grocery stores. They are changing the way they do business by adapting to the new environment. Some of you may be facing a scaling issue. You can't respond to the increased demand on your products or services and may be losing business. You must think through, what can I leverage in existing systems, human capital, knowledge, and talent, and engage the marketplace to satisfy the demand. Above all else, your leadership will inspire others to seek out and find opportunities to survive and thrive in this environment and the new environment to come once we rebound.
Many of us have put off learning what we need to do in the technology area. I'm as guilty as anyone. And the truth is, the time has come to skill up. The good news is we have an abundance of resources for free at our disposal. We highly recommend a great resource from the McChrystal Group's guide on remote communications. It has step-by-step advice on tools and structure, best practices, remote decision-making, remote client and sales management, and a long-term mindset. If you can't find it online, please email us and we will send you a copy. Human management. This is an opportunity to be creating simple SOPs you can implement swiftly that establishes as much normalcy and routine as possible and be consistent. For example, decide when and what time you will be doing team check-ins and let your team know. Implement written reports to be turned in at the same time each day or week on activities and financial reporting. And now is the time to be reviewing your financial reporting daily. And make sure that you take the time to establish one-to-one check-ins with each team member that concentrate not on activity and productivity, but on what we call a wiffle, what I feel like expressing. Social distancing, be a good role model. Remember, you are the leader and your actions speak louder than words. Due to our swift shift in having to work remotely, there are many of your team members that may be feeling very isolated and alone. Keep connecting, keep communicating. Use the platinum rule, which says to treat others how they want to be treated, be it text, phone call, email, instant messaging. Remember, you cannot over communicate or overdo in checking in at this time. Meetings, yes. Don't stop meeting, just virtually now. Prioritize them at this time, but focus on more brief impact-driven meetings. For example, daily for 15 minutes as opposed to weekly or bi-weekly as things are changing rapidly. And ensure 100% inclusion. If you notice someone is silent consistently, look for ways to keep them engaged and check in on them one-on-one. Reporting and planning, this becomes even more critical in a virtual environment. Invest the time to decide and commit to when you will be receiving reports and when you will be working on your planning. Let your team know and give them each permission to hold each other accountable at this time. Consider choosing someone to be the accountability coach for the week, who gets to ask the team members if they need any help and support to achieve their goals and objectives. This provides an opportunity to empower your team members and strengthen organizational development muscle.
So right now you're in the defense and you should be conserving in order to gain later. Cash is king, and if you can extend your credit, you should do it. You should delay or stop spending on all those non-essentials. And write this down. Take advantage of all the provisions of relief the government, no matter federal, state, or county, are providing. If you are eligible, these provisions will help most of you, so do it. Now, understand any of these provisions requiring a web-based application means that it may take a while because the pipes will be jammed, but this is another cycle. Just as you're seeing grocery stores returning to some level of normalcy, so will applying for these programs. Another great resource to tap into is a Small Business Development Center directed by Catherine Grooms right here in Santa Clarita at the College of the Canyons. Look, now is the time to go over your numbers, all level of detail. Understand your cost structure, something many of you have put off or rely on a bookkeeper or accountant. I'm not advocating you end your engagement with your bookkeeper or accountant, quite the contrary. Just understand your chart of accounts and refresh your key performance indicators. These are the indicators you will rely on to measure your future growth. And hand in hand with delaying spending, slow your business cycle down and postpone, if you haven't already, those major activities you have previously planned. Now is the time to act and survive. Now, while you're hunkered down, we want you to dream and think. This is our model. We use it as a baseline for every client, and it's relevant to any and every business. Start with why. Why are you in business, and who do you want it to be projecting it to? That leads to your purpose, statement, and points of culture. These statements must be broadcast to not only your employees, but your customers and key stakeholders. Note what the Harvard Business Review, the September-October 2019 issue, talks about in terms of putting your purpose at the core of your strategy. Especially given today's VUCA times V squared environment. Your purpose and points of culture or values define who you are and why you're in the marketplace. As Simon Sinek says, the why is what attracts your customers, not the how or what of your business. The why also helps you define the do part of your business. And the do part is a clear vision and mission defined by specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and time-frame goals and objectives. You get this right, and it's going to equal your have. In other words, the benefits derived from creating and operating a dynamite business that employs fantastic people and gives them a reason for getting up in the morning. If you haven't dug deep to define your why or created your purpose and points of culture statements or written down and broadcast your vision, mission, goals, and objectives, right now is the time to dream and think and get after this.
When doing business in times of a credible threat, it is very easy only to be operating at the 15-foot level. And while these moments compel us to troubleshoot and triage all areas operations, commit to thinking through the bird's eye view of the business and the long-term macro versus micro outlook. There is an abundance of research you can easily Google and find on our country's economic history related to recessions and contractions. Many businesses indeed suffer during these times, but research shows that there are ways to mitigate the damage and that some companies don't just recover in the 3 years after a recession, they flourish. The difference maker, research shows preparation and planning. Among the companies that stagnated in the aftermath of the Great Recession, few made contingency plans or thought through alternative scenarios. Now is the time to revise your Q2 and Q3 plans, reconsider what you will market and sell, and how you will deliver and re-examine your cost for goods and services. It's also time to start to think about the rebound and how you can prepare, plan, and pivot in the next 90 days to maximize your company's potential when we rebound. This includes creating and readying your business toolbox. Think through what you may need in your survival toolbox. Resources, advisors, mentors. Think in terms of who, what, where, why, and how you can get the help you need. Paul and I are committed to help as many business owners as we can at this time and are in the process of revising our quarterly planning workshop to a COVID 90-day business planning workshop in April to help your business survive and then thrive. We will be offering a special rate for VIA members and be sending more info in the near future via email and social media. Whatever you do not stop marketing. Do rethink what and how you are messaging and marketing to help customers continue to do business with you. Remember, message your marketing by design, not default. Now is a time when your message has to be responsible. If you are marketing just as you were pre-COVID-19, then you are gambling with an audience that may think you are being insensitive and could lose a current or prospective client. Your message should be emotionally intelligent and socially responsible. Emotional intelligence means being self and socially aware and the ability to connect with another person in a way that they feel valued. If this is an area that you think you need help in, now is a great time to be learning about ways you can boost your EQ and engage in behavior assessments and getting the tools to help you. Paul and I offer many different behavior assessments that can help you discover your natural and adaptive styles and states and motivators, as well as your team. This is a great time to do this kind of organizational behavioral work that will maximize your ability to lead better now. Another marketing opportunity that exists is to think about how to do story time around you and your business. What is your story of origin? Why did you start your business? What things have you done well? What have you learned? Creating content around you is something many business owners should consider at this time. As Simon Sinek writes in Start With Why, customers don't buy what you do or how you do it, they buy why you do it, and they buy you. Your message must always be directed towards your clients and customers taking action. Be ready to serve and give much more much more than before. Be the go-to, the educator, the helper. Many of you may remember Mr. Rogers often told a story about when he was a boy and would see scary things on the news. His mother would tell him to look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. They are the leaders who will see us through. And lastly, now more than ever, know your numbers. Marketing is numbers, numbers is marketing. You cannot change what you cannot measure, and you cannot grow what you do not know. This current crisis and contraction may be 3 weeks or 8 or more, so take the time now to understand. When you spend X amount of dollars on a marketing campaign, either direct mail, social media, print, how many leads does that generate? And how many of those leads convert into a customer? And what is the average dollar sale for that customer? Take the time to break it down and know your numbers now.
If you can, continue selling. Many of you may be reluctant to sell because of your concern that others may not want to spend. If you believe your product or service brings value to customers, then sell. But as Lisa stated, make sure you change your tone. Be relevant in what you're advertising and empathetic and compassionate to those you are selling to. If you do this, you will build loyalty. You want to reach out and go beyond what your sales approach was prior to the pandemic. We are all operating virtually, but think through how you want to be visible and don't forget the critical non-essentials, meaning the follow-on phone calls, the gifts you send, the cards you send, genuine interest in the well-being of others. Listen, relationships are more than ever matter. We want to know that people care, your families, business team, associates, and networks, and we want to share with them on this emotional journey. This is how you survive, get to know your customers on a whole different level, and demonstrate you care by the actions you convey.
It always comes down to your people. Your team comes before your customers. Empower them to focus on your vision and keep them positively engaged in important work. Let's face it, most of us have been spending 80% plus of our time on operations and hardly any time on planning, strategizing, and the foundational work that will ultimately determine the long-term impact and sustainability of our companies and ready them to be a commercial, profitable enterprise that can work without us. Our businesses need to be built on a strong and solid foundation, just like our houses, where we start with a sturdy concrete slab or well-designed frame before we add the walls, floors, ceilings, windows, etc. This is where having a meaningful and inspiring vision, mission come into play. And if you don't have them, engage your team in reflecting on or refreshing your business why. Invite them to be a part of creating it or reinvigorating what you have. If you do have these statements, are they published? Are they clear to you and your team? These are critical to help you navigate through times of uncertainty. Engaging your team, and remember, team goes beyond employees, keeps them focused on the bigger picture. Another idea is to consider creating a core values word sketch and have leadership share a list of 30 core values and ask your team to choose 10 that will become your points of culture. If your business has an established vision, mission, purpose statements, then consider you and your team creating guiding principles of how you will collectively navigate through this period. That can be used going forward to set the tone in the virtual office and can serve as a blueprint for setting new standards and holding each other accountable for not only work, but behavior, mindset, and our approaches. Remember, you as a leader have a responsibility always to be mindful of succession planning, meaning if something happens to you, how will the business survive and thrive? Now is the time to look for ways in which you help your team build their leadership muscle, to think in terms of leading up, which means you think in terms of training and retraining, and looking for ways in which you can delegate to elevate and empower your people in new roles in the training and retraining cycle. Lastly, do not rush to cut back. but consider all options to keep as many team members as you can, be it furloughs, reduced hours, or cuts in pay. Most importantly, take care of yourself. Put the oxygen mask on first and take your health seriously. This includes not only physically, such as making sure you eat the right things, exercise, but also your emotional and psychological well-being. This is critical as you are the driver of the bus, and this should be your top priority. Create daily rituals such as meditating, exercise, journaling, and creating healthy habits. In times of uncertainty, your habits can ground you. We encourage you to stick to your routines in whatever way you can during this period. When you feel restless, do a 1-minute workout. When you feel overwhelmed, practice a minute of mindfulness or deep breathing. When the world seems uncontrollable, focus on what you can control. Return to your habits. The truth is, everyone is building new habits right now. Whenever there is a big change in your environment, there will be a big change in your behavior. And learn, learn, learn. Not more about the virus. It's important you stay informed. But when we say learn, use this time to develop your leadership muscle or improve upon your industry muscle. Watch TED Talks, read and study books and articles, listen to podcasts. You are in COVID-19 grad school right now. There are an abundance of learning resources at your disposal. History shows that times such as these are great times of innovation in which you may be able to identify gaps in your marketplace, which in turn will help you ideate and create new and unique selling propositions that you can think through now regarding strategy, implementation, execution, and how you will test and measure in Q3 and 4. Think in terms of progress over perfection. This is a messy time. Give yourself permission to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and reframe your outlook, practice, 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 to be opportunity focused, not crisis driven. Focus on what you can do versus can't. Maximize the cans in the midst of the many can'ts and integrate the small wins every day. And remember, you control your thoughts, not vice versa. So feed your mind with positive thoughts. This may mean taking huge breaks from the endless cycle of news cycles. Also, think in terms of this being an endurance event that you've been preparing for, and take stock of what you as a Californian, as an SCV resident, has endured between earthquakes, fires, being Saga strong. We are a community that shines when faced with adversity and has developed muscle in being prepared. Invest in thinking outside of the box and planning now so you are ready for the rebound and can thrive.
Okay, the last step, use common sense and compassion. Our governor and county and city mayors are issuing guidance every day. Follow it. For your own sake, plan for the worst case scenario and build from there. Not only for your business, but family too. Just as Lisa and I have revised our Q2 and Q3 business plans, we also have a mother and father, 89 and 91 years old, living in Valencia. We've talked through the what ifs and essentially have confined them to their home. Then help when and where you can. Many of you on this call think abundantly, as Ed Bernstein would say. So many of you give tirelessly to the community, like Bruce Fortines and Gloria Mercado. Now is the time to find purpose. Where and how you can give, whether on a global, national, or community level. For example, my Rotary Club is meeting virtually next week to talk about how we can engage and help our community. I know many other service organizations are doing the same. You too can get involved with the multitude of service organizations and nonprofit organizations that are in desperate need of help. Now is the time to continue to lead by example and do what you can to help your families, employees, other businesses, and the community at large to get through this. So write this down. When you leave this webinar today, we want you to lead, think, plan, and act. We're hashtag SCV proud, and importantly, hashtag no business left behind. Our way of helping is by conducting these webinars, and we're offering free COVID-19 strategy sessions to business owners who need the help. Also, we will be producing upcoming webinars with critical information on planning for the rebound. And as a reminder of what Lisa mentioned, and something you all should take advantage of, we will be offering a COVID-19 90-day planning virtual workshop at an exceptional value for VIA members. Now, you'll note on your control bars, there are handouts. We've provided you with 2 of them, and you can download them. They are titled Action Coach Crisis Communication Tips and Action Coach Pandemic Business Checklist. Both of those you should be able to download, and if you can't, we'll again be happy to provide them. Just email us or text us and we'll send them back to you. And we're open for questions. And I think Kathy will be managing those if you have any questions.
Paul, right now I have just one question from Barry Kahn at Jorgensen HR. If you could do a repeat for us about the availability of this program to follow today's webinar. You're recording it, correct?
Yes, we're recording it, and I think the recording would be available later, either later today or tomorrow, and then it'll be emailed to the recipients, the registrants in the program.
Okay, thank you. I'm not seeing any other print questions. If anyone has questions at this time, if they would go ahead and put them in the toolbar to the right-hand side of the presentation, we'll try and get them answered for you. Also, if you have questions to follow, if you think of something after the presentation is over, you can certainly address those to Paul and Lisa. Their email addresses are on the screen right now, or if you'd like to get in contact with us in the VIA office, you can send your questions to me at kathy@via.org, and we'll make sure that they get answered as follow-up. If there's nothing else from you and Lisa, Paul, it doesn't look like we have any current questions. Do you want to wait a little bit, or do you want to go ahead and close?
No, I think we can close. Thanks, Kathy, for both you and Hillary for hosting this. It's a great testimonial on your part to adapting to the environment and the way that we need to change with it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Paul and Lisa from One True North. The information that you shared today was actually invaluable. I hope that everyone who joined us today found it valuable and be able to implement some of those steps that you suggested. And then I'd also like to thank. Yes.
There are a few questions coming in, actually. If you look,
yeah, looks like
you
it just
can
popped up. Yeah, let me take a look here. Oh, very good. Okay. I can get them open here. It's got a lot of thank yous. That's very nice. So it looks like folks are enjoying that. Okay. I have a question here. I'm struggling with the decision between offering a service to the community at a lowered cost versus no charge due to the present circumstances. Do you have a perspective on whether it is appropriate to sell versus supporting the community?
Yes, and so if you have your core business, you should be selling, but that doesn't mean that you can't be offering help to your community in other ways. And for example, what we're doing, we're offering a webinar, and we know that people will be in need of coaching services, and then we'll offer coaching as a result of that. So there's many of you out there, whether you're, for example, an attorney, that you can be offering advice or sessions that would help people navigate their way through it. And what it does is it provides the ability for them to make a decision whether or not to engage you at a later date.
Okay. Another question here. This is from Marcia Frisley at Liberty Building Maintenance. Do you have any information on getting the SBA loans being offered? She says she could not apply online. And let me take a look here. Sorry, I'm having trouble reading this. And the application to print does not look like it's been tailored to COVID-19. I'm not sure if you folks have answers to that, but I believe there was some information in the EDC's transmission about that the other day, was there not?
There is. There's a number of links that you can go to find that, but I mean, there will be a reason why you can't get online right now, and that's because there are millions trying to get online. So it's going to take some time before you're able to do that, or just staying with it. But the loans are in place, and we just read a news alert that the House did pass the bill. So the $2 trillion bill, so that'll go to the president for signature. And then I'm sure that there will be changes, upcoming changes over time, not only with how to apply for the loans, but more clarity on what the loans will end up providing. But the bottom line is that you should be taking advantage of any of these resources being offered by our government right now. There's no reason why you shouldn't. And every business owner that's eligible for it ought to be considering that. And it just may take some time to get through the process, but the legislation is in place, so meaning it's law. And whether you are able to get online to do it today or 2 weeks from now, it still will benefit you and your business.
And also take advantage of what we have in our community to offer. So if you look at the SBDC and other resources that you could contact here that can help you walk through that and provide assistance.
Okay, I don't think there's any other questions in here, at the present time. I have some thank yous from some of our attendees, so appreciate that very much. I'm glad that as many folks were able to join us today. Anything else that you'd like to share, Paul and Lisa?
I think just gratitude and to message to everyone to stay safe and strong and positive and keep your faith and keep your head up.
Great. I'd like to also thank everyone who joined us today, and then let everyone know to please anticipate additional webinars and conferences from VIA during these very complicated times. We are absolutely here to help, and I hope you will not hesitate to ask if we can be of any assistance. Thank you again, Paul and Lisa. Today's transmission was excellent, and I hope everyone stays safe and healthy, and we will all be in touch soon.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.